Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, I went to Micro Center and bought all these computer parts because I figured it's about time for an upgrade. Alright, I guess the first thing to do is to unbox the motherboard, which is in this big box here. I went for a Ryzen chipset because I found it was just a better deal than Intel. Alright, and with the motherboard out, we can get a good look at it. And now it's time for the CPU. Nah, I'm just kidding. That clip was from last night. Here's the actual clip of me picking up the CPU and putting it on the desk. Safe and sound. And with the CPU out, I could check for bent pins. And luckily, everything seemed to be nice and in order, but I did have some problems installing the CPU.
Okay y'all, so I just got the CPU inserted. I was having some problems with this, the back side over here. It was kind of sitting up, and I was worried about that. And I put a little pressure on this side, because this side clicked down in, but this side was still sitting up. I could even see the pins if I looked on the side. I put a little pressure on and it just went right in. And I worried that I bent some pins, so I pulled it out again and they were all perfect. So I put it back in and it slid right in perfectly. First try this time, and I think we're good.
Then I just pushed down on the CPU and closed the retention arm. It was a lot harder to close the retention arm than I thought it would be, but eventually it just snapped right into place.
All right, now with the CPU done, we can switch over to memory. All right, that went pretty well. So now it's time for the other stick.
And with the memory done, now we can get ready for the storage. This is a little M.dot, but I need to take the heatsink off before I can put it in the board. That's because I want to use this heatsink, which came with the motherboard. With that all installed, it looks pretty good, right under there underneath the heatsink. And now it's time for the cooler for the CPU. Get it out of its box, unbox it, carefully lift it out of there. Alright, it's looking pretty good all around. I don't see anything on the bottom. I'm going to clean off the CPU, and then I can unscrew these little latches before lowering the cooler right on top of the CPU. It already came with thermal paste, so it's nice and easy to put it on there. Plug in the CPU fan. And now we can get ready for the final components to do a test run. That being this power supply and the GPU. Let's open the GPU box. Alright, now I can just carefully install the GPU. The reason why I went with an Intel GPU is because this one was a crazy good deal. Okay? And now it's time for our test run.
All right, everything is all hooked up here to the power supply. The monitor's hooked up, the keyboard. I guess there's nothing left to do but to do it. Oh, it's doing it, it's doing it.
That's right, we entered the BIOS with no problem.
All right, let's see. Where's my CPU temperature? I don't know what's normal, but it looks like it's stabilized.
CPU temperature was good, so I let it run for a while and eventually decided to shut it off. And now it's time to put it into its case. Got a pair of scissors. Alright, and with the case out, I can begin to take off the cover and start looking inside.
All right, now it is motherboard time. Right, with the motherboard in the case, now I can just start screwing in everything. All right, so now we got all the, now we got the motherboard all hooked up to the front panel. So all these USB ports are now connected to where they're supposed to be down here in the motherboard. And it's all screwed in nice and tight. So it's now time for hard drive. And now with the hard drive and this little deal, we can start screwing it in. And now I can just finish up wiring the hard drive. All right, and now we've got our power supply in here, so I can just screw in these. Alright, here's the part where we just start tying up all the loose ends. So we're gonna start by plugging in pretty much everything into the power supply right now, including these weird fans that have to be plugged into the power supply. Now I probably should have done this before I put in the power supply, but I guess I kind of have to do it now. Alright, and with that done, I can now put in the Molex connectors for our fans. Okay, with everything plugged in, it's GPU time.
After installing the GPU, I could screw it into the case, and after doing some cable management, everything was looking ready to go. Put the cases back on the outside, and it looks like this build is about to be complete. I could then power it up for a final test.
Alright, monitor on. Alright, we're in the BIOS.
After making sure everything appears, there's nothing left to do but to turn it off. And now, we can install an operating system. The operating system I went with was Pop! OS because, well, frankly, I'd rather be running Linux because I really can't be bothered to install Windows 11. And frankly, they told me Windows 10 would be the last version.
Guys, I have some bad news. It turns out that the motherboard I got doesn't actually have a Wi-Fi card built in, so I have to go back to Micro Center to get one.
So I ran out and got a new part, put it in the computer, and then, yes, the internet worked. So now let's get on to gaming. This is BeamNG Drive. Usually, I'll get around 45, maybe around 60 FPS on a full map. But while recording with my software, I'm only getting about 30. But, the fact that this thing runs at 60 FPS on multiplayer with 10 people is frankly unheard of on my old computer. I mean, even on the lowest settings, I'd only get like maybe 12 FPS with this many people online. And here, sometimes I'm getting up to around 45, which is a big improvement, especially for all normal graphics, for the most part. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll just say goodbye and thanks for watching. I think this project turned out really well, and I'm actually editing this video on this computer right now. So yeah, big success.